So let's move back to cinema and let's go to Resident Evil. Welcome to Raccoon City, which Sharon, you went to watch because there's nothing else on. So
That was basically it. I had to see something without Shawnee to, you know, pick up the slack.
yeah,
I
with,
had
with
to go and see
Sean, with
something.
Sean being in Thailand, swanning around on the
I
back of a
know.
tuk tuk, it's like we had to go pick up the slack and actually go to the cinema.
I had to see
So,
stuff. Because on a week
so
like this, normally I'd go, okay, Sean, you better produce that like 5 films that you've seen at some obscure cinema, in the back streets of Bournemouth.
yeah, yeah. So Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon
Question.
City. Obviously, Resident Evil based on the video game. And tell us, have they managed to make a video game movie that is worth our time?
Well, I have to say from the get-go, I've only ever played. Well, I've never. Well, to say I played it means I did take hold of the controller for a brief period of time. So that technically counts as playing it, doesn't it? If I actually was holding the
if
controller.
if you've held the controller, if you pressed something on the controller and it corresponded to something happening on the screen, I would say yes, you have played it.
So technically, I have played the game. So it wasn't for very long because I didn't live for very long.
Yeah,
But so that my only experience of the game is that sort of minute when I was watching the video game, said, "Oh, can I have a go?" And then, "Oh, I've died. Okay, you can have that back now. I don't ever want to play that ever again." So from that experience, that experience did correspond with what I saw on the screen because played the bit I played was when they're wandering around in the mansion. You hear these zombies moaning and groaning. Then you'll have to go like mad and shoot everything.
yep,
And then the lights will go out. Then you have to try to shoot everything in the dark with flashing lights going on. Or you get like a lighter where you have to
yep.
light your way. I remember watching that bit and having a go briefly then. So
Okay.
my own experience of the game was replicated on the screen. So that bit was in there. So the rest of it I've got no knowledge about. But from what I gather, you have your characters where they're all introduced. They have is it one of those ones where you have like a little filmy bit at the beginning where you introduce all the characters, then you choose your character?
Yes, yes. For
It
what I
felt
could,
like that at the
yeah,
beginning where all these characters pop up and say, "Hey, Jill Valentine," or "Hey, you're Leon, what's his name?" And
yeah.
so all of these characters are actually introduced early on, and they wear the clothes that were reminiscent of the film. So I gather from what my experience, so limited, was this is very much we love the video game. This is our inspiration, and so they haven't referenced the other films at all.
Yeah, because the other films took another tack where they introduced a fiction. Well, I say a fictional character; they're all fictional, but they introduced a new character that wasn't in the video games,
Yeah,
and that character sort of every now and then encountered some weird version of the characters from the video games.
yeah.
This is gone. No, we are doing the video
We
game
are
stories,
doing the
and
video
these.
game story. So you have all these characters, you get a little bit of backstory for some of them and others you don't. And the way they're introduced, it would be like, ta-da, I'm producing a rabbit out the hat, and this rabbit is this character that who looks like the character that you see on the screen, only they're real. So
Yeah,
I get the feeling that whoever the people who are behind the film certainly were using the actual game for
that's what I hear.
their
That's what I hear.
inspiration. So it probably unfolds in a similar way that the game would do. So you have like this build up where you get dropped a bit of information like, people are acting raccoon, the Umbrella Corporation are pulling out of Raccoon City and they're beginning to shut everything down. The only people left are the poor or the people who are like left behind to mop up the
Yeah,
situation. So you've got like a handful of like police serving still. You've got the odd waitress, you've got your poor families, and then you've got like security. But the big bods who actually run Umbrella Corporation have gone, and they've left the affluent parts of town largely deserted, and the poorer parts of the town still largely inhabited.
yeah.
So one of the characters arrives in the town because her brother's there. I forget her name,
Don't worry.
something or other, but she's got a brother.
Yeah,
He's a police officer, and so she has been in contact. This is set in 1998, so presumably that is the year that the original game was released.
yeah. I think so. Yeah, I
And
think that might
it
be right.
has
Yeah.
she has like this online. I talk about online as if it's like this strange thing that I was talking to someone over the internet, and he was saying,
Does anybody say World Wide Web at any point?
yeah, and so he was saying there's something wrong. They have steadily been poisoning the town, and there's things going on here that you need to be aware of. And then you start to see the hints of maybe like the people start randomly, their eyes start bleeding, and the hair starts falling out, and so you get this build up of, we know bad things are going to happen, and it's happening now. And then one of them, who's sent to spy on the Umbrella Corporation to find out what they've been going on, he's got this hacked tech system, like a pager system almost, which was saying, Raccoon City is going to be shut down at this time, so you have to get in, get your stuff, and get out by this point.
Yeah.
And so it all builds up to this crescendo of, chaos is unleashed, and then our protagonists are fighting, shooting, screaming, bleeding, and dying through the rest of the film.
Cool. And
and then they encounter things you would expect to encounter, like the groaning zombie people.
Yep.
Townsfolk going a bit mad. Dogs that don't look very natural. Dobermans that look a little bit.
Oh yeah. That's a Resident Evil thing.
And a couple of mutant-y type people that started off human but have been mutated by some.
Okay. So the two questions. Number one, does the plot matter? And number two, how many stars would you give it?
I don't think the plot matters at all. I think it's one of those films, because I was thinking, how are they going to wind this up? Because it seems to be so much going on. But I think they're not, because they're going to turn it into a franchise, I would imagine, because the way it ended.
Yeah, they will be hoping to, yeah.
And I say it was a 3. I'll say it was completely done. It was for what it was. And then I don't think you can probably expect more. You could expect a heck of a lot less than you got. So it's not a very high bar, but what they did, perfectly competently. So it was entertaining. You got the zombies. You had the odd moment of tension where you're thinking, oh, what's going on here? Unexpected death, expected death, and not a lot of humour, but there was enough to keep it moving.
Yeah, because I remember watching one of the I hadn't watched any of the original Resident movies, the Mila Jovovich ones, and I remember seeing one of them was probably Afterlife or something like that. I mean, after a while, they just ended up having these subtitles that meant nothing. You had absolutely no idea which film you were watching, and I remember watching them, and because I'd heard bad things about them online. I thought, it can't be that bad, so I decided to watch one of them, and it started off and I was like, oh yeah, this is all right. It's the one that starts off with this massive action sequence of a whole bunch of Alices attacking the Umbrella Corporation, and I'm like, oh wow, this is actually pretty good sequence. And then after that, the film just goes. It's like dropping a lead weight into a pond. And I remember by the time I finished, the only word I could use for the film was risible. I was like, this is just risible. Oh my god, this is terrible.
I did watch a few of those. I mean, I think I tried to watch them in order, but they just started coming thick and fast, and they were like straight to DVD. And I got to the point where I just got lost in it, and I thought, I actually don't know what's going on. I couldn't work out who she really was in the end. I thought, is she real? Is she what is she again?
The plot was inconsequential.
I got lost in it.
I'm surprised they gave them enough money to make 6 films. But hey, that's probably why I don't work in Hollywood, because I cannot abide. Yeah, it's like, no, but that's absolute rubbish. Why are you making more of them?